Hi, this is Nicole Roberts-Jones, and welcome to Amplify Your Brilliance. What I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is where I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. And I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your business, your career, but in your life. Also, make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com. Now grab your pen as we begin today's session of Amplify Your Brilliance. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. And I think I always say I'm excited when I start these episodes, but today I'm bringing you one of my great sister friends. So let me try to act professional at the top, right? So let me introduce to you Dr. Oneeka Williams. Now, Dr. Oneeka is a Harvard Medical School graduate who ranks among the top urologic surgeons in the United States. I can't even barely say that, urologic, right? Now, if that wasn't enough, and I can go on and on about her being a doctor and all the work she's done in that field. But listen to this. Dr. Oneeka is committed to inspiring all children, and especially girls, toward a greater interest in science, a positive attitude, and the pursuit of excellence in all their endeavors. And it was through this commitment that she became a children's book author of a series of books. And if you haven't heard of Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo, you need to look her up, right? And she really started that series to encourage kids to live a life without limits. She's blazed trails in areas where women are underrepresented and is expanding her brand to bring unlimited mindset to the adult market. She's a recipient of multiple awards, including an honorary doctorate of human letters from Endicott College. She's on the board of advisors at the Museum of Science in Boston. I can go on, but let's get this party started. Welcome, Dr. Oneeka.
Thank you, Nicole. It's so exciting to be here. Thank you for having me on your wonderful Amplify Your Brilliance podcast. I am so thrilled and honored and humbled.
Yay. And you are the perfect example, because being a doctor, first of all, after all those years of going to medical school, should have been enough. It could have been for so many people, but you thought to yourself, wait a minute, hold on. There's so much more I can do. And so much more I could do for, first she started with young girls, then she expanded to kids, and now she's doing it for adults. So thinking about standing in your truth, what has that really done to your ability to expand your career?
You know, it's so funny that you should ask that, Nicole. But one of the things that has become clearer to me over time is that, when you say it all the time, for what God foreknew, He foretold, and I can literally look way back into my childhood to identify how God has literally been moving in my life and how He has assigned me to a calling that no matter how I have tried to hide, that He is like, no, I have more work for you to do. I have more. And so, I can't even call it my more. I have to call it God's more.
Ooh, wait, hold on. Somebody needed that right there. I have to stop her because that's good right there. She said, I want to make sure y'all got that. She can't even call it her more. It's God's more. That's so good. Sorry, I had to stop and pause right there. Keep going.
Yep. Because, when He puts something on your heart, He literally is about the business of, okay, I need for you to get this done. And so if I have to say what is walking in my truth and standing in my truth, it is really this acknowledgement, this acceptance of I am designed for unlimited impact. I mean, my mantra is now, if every day that I open my eyes, I declare that I am going to live the unlimited version of myself. And the reason that I could say so and I could declare it so boldly is because I know that my unlimited comes from the heart that God has given me, with its unlimited capacity to love and my unlimited capacity to make choices, and this incredible mind that God gives us with our unlimited capacity to think, our unlimited abilities to dream and to hope and to have vision. And I go right back to when I was, 12, when literally through a pivotal kind of aha moment, God laid it on my heart that I was going to be a doctor, that I wanted to take care of others. And in that, I knew that I needed to do physics as a prerequisite. And the interesting thing is I have a twin brother, and he and I went through elementary school together. We had the same opportunities. Our parents literally raised us almost as one, which is that if you do this, so does she. There's no difference. There's no boy, girl.
Right.
Everybody at the same level of expectations, the same standards. And then we get to school and I want to do physics, and my brother has access to physics in his all boys school, but I want access to physics in the all girls school. And that was the moment at which, I literally had to raise my hand. I mean, this was the point at which I had to be like, okay, something does not make sense here. But that was this blatant, coming headlong, just bumping right into the stereotypes, into the differential treatment of girls versus boys in terms of what could he do,
right,
and what could I do?
And how come I can't do it? Because literally that was your first unlimited moment. That was your first moment of pushing past the limit somebody was putting on you. And
you could see how that could already begin to mess with your mind.
Yeah.
Like self-doubt, the negative self-messages, the negative self-talk, the believing what other people are saying about you and what other people are saying that you're capable of.
Right.
And being able to step into that situation, what was the status quo, it seems like everybody was just perfectly happy to just be going along that path of girls don't do physics. To be able to raise my hand and say, look, I want to do physics.
Right.
And why don't I have access to physics? And thankfully, being in a system that actually looked at the situation and said, you know what? Why doesn't she have access to physics? So sometimes when you raise your hand, there are two responses. Either people just blow you off and say, look, this is just the way it is, just deal with it. Or people actually stop and listen and say, you know what? There's something about this that does not make sense. And what you do to change this particular experience for this child who literally our value system is about, we want her to learn. Right. We want her to be educated. And so they were very open. And because of that, I literally became the only girl, not just to take physics in the class with all boys, but to continue the rest of my education with all boys. And then God chooses ordinary people and gives them these extraordinary assignments.
Oh, okay, stop. Wait, she's dropping nuggets, y'all. She just walking past like that's not a big deal. She just said, I want to make sure y'all get this. God takes ordinary people and gives them extraordinary assignments. What I love to say all the time is when we put in the extra that we can become extraordinary, right? And you put in that extra when you raised your hand.
Yes, without a doubt. And that, and for most of us, I think that extraordinary just lives below the surface.
Yes.
And it's a matter of how do we peel back the layers of all the external messages, all the external constructs, all the external frameworks, because ultimately it is just living from inside out, right? Peel back all of the things that the external environment layers on us and tells us about who we can be and what we can be, and how do we peel that back and say underneath that I am a child of God with a purpose and an assignment that no matter what anyone else is saying on the outside, I know on the inside that this is what my heart is telling me that I am actually called to do.
Ooh, wait, and so here's the thing, and let me tell you, you can tell she gets excited, she gets fired up about all of this, and I want to just stop for a minute because you've had such a rich journey, right? So even beyond that moment in time where you rose your hand and said, yes, I want to take physics, all the way to going to Harvard Medical School, all the way to becoming a woman who ranks among the top urologic surgeons in the United States. And we can have a whole conversation about that. But to get to that pinnacle of success and yet go into that next, what did it take you to shift to literally say yes to that next assignment, which is really holding the space for first children and now adults to live in our unlimited?
Well, it is really connecting the dots. I really feel that our life, it's always we were, if I bring I'm always bringing my math thinking to things, but we are the equation of a line. Our life is the equation of a line. And there are all of these dots that are essentially part of the scatter of our experiences, that when you draw the line through it, when you draw the equation, the best line through that's the equation of that line, what it actually does is really help you to see that there's so many things in your experience as you go day to day that really connect along what it is that your assignments are. And so how do I take it to the next? It's literally I think, is living from that place of believing that we are not limited by anything and any set of circumstances, and connecting into that internal part of who are we and why are we here, and being very clear about what is our why. And I think that the only way that you're really able to understand and live in what is your why is to connect into that inner part of who you are, which means staying conscious, staying mindful, asking the questions in each assignment, in each moment, being able to identify, what am I supposed to be doing in this? And quite frankly, for me, when I thought about living from this one step to the next step to the next step and going to the why and continuing on the path of the why, is really understanding that because we are called into situations where we are meant to have a particular impact on the world, and because everything that we have access to through God is unlimited, God does not call us to stop and stand still.
Right.
He calls us on a constant journey. And so my belief really and truly is that we are in a constant journey to ourselves. And as we move along that path and that journey to ourselves, we are on a constant journey to our unlimited. Now, the interesting thing is that our unlimited lives in every single moment, because we live in every single moment. So many times we think about, as we journey to ourselves, we're actually journeying to a destination. But in actuality, our destination lives in every single moment, because we live in every single moment. And so if we live single moment, and that destination is where we are right then and there, then what that means is that our unlimited lives in every single moment. And what that means for us is that we have to be constantly connected to what are we being called to do. And many times, for instance, as you've already said, I'm a surgeon, and I literally have these conversations with God. But why is that not enough? Because, what I do on a day-to-day basis that allows me to make a difference in people's lives in a way that is just extremely poignant, in a way that is so gratifying, in a way that I find that fulfillment, that I find, just that, the feedback, the affirmations, the goodness and the ministry of what God calls you to do, you feel, wow, I'm actually living out the purpose of caring for others. Because ultimately, if you live by these 5 principles, one of those principles.
Before you go into the principles, wait, because listen, get your pen out. She gonna go in, but before you do that, because these principles are gonna be principles that I know we all need to implement. I want to just stop for a second, because there was a light bulb moment I know you had to have in the course of being a surgeon, where everything clicked and you realized there was a next for you. It's like, tell us about that moment where it just, you knew. Of course, we know you live in unlimited, so you never limited yourself. We know that. But when was that moment where you knew, and then what did you have to shift to go into that next?
It really has been a journey, Nicole. The light bulb moments have occurred in the particular sort of I'm going to create a girl super surgeon. But everywhere along the path have been those experiences that have kind of connected back to my initial kind of pivotal moment about being the only one and charting a course and trailblazing a course for others to follow, or to open doors for others. And so as we look at all the physicians in the United States, only 0.001% looks like me. In other words, only 0.001% are Black female urologic surgeons, which means that all along the way, in being in situations where I was literally almost the only one, you get to undergraduate and they said, you know what, you're not going to get into any medical schools. You get to medical school and they said, you know what, urologic surgery is not for women. You get into urologic surgical residency as the only one who, Black woman, first woman in your residency program. And, you get patients who say, well, you don't look like a surgeon. You don't look like a doctor. I don't understand, how I'm going to relate to you. And in each of those moments, as you shift into the thinking, the mindset is really about how you set your mind. And so what the light bulb for me was in understanding what all of those challenges were meant to develop in me. And it was meant to develop a set of principles that I could then help others to use as principles that helped inspire them along their journey. So the light bulb moment, so let me tell you, the light bulb moment in terms of how I was going to do that happened when I was actually doing what I'm saying is a set of activities for science club for girls who interested in science. We want to model, want to inspire them to believe that they can be scientists, that scientists are not just old white men with spectacles.
Right.
And so in doing that volunteer work, in seeing the light bulb going off for them, not just because they saw someone who looked like them, who was actually things that they thought women or Black women couldn't do, what I was able to do in creating the content around, we started off doing, let's say, the heart and the circulatory. And I created this construct around the heart as we were dissecting the cow hearts. I created this construct to help them understand the heart in the context of the subway system in New York. And so I created the analogy of the circulatory system being like the subway system, and essentially the heart being Grand Central Station. And in that moment, creating that analogy to all the other subway stops being like the organs in the body, the vessels being like the train tracks, the red blood cells being like the train cars, and the carbon dioxide and oxygen molecules being like the passengers hopping on and off. What I understood in that moment, as I saw the spark of understanding just ignite in their minds and in their eyes, I said, this is what I need to be doing, which is bring content in a way that is easily understood for these girls. But in addition to that, doing it on a platform that empowers them and that models for them who can be powerful, who can save the world, who can be scientists, who can make changes that will have generational impact. And so that was where the light bulb moment.
That's so good.
As that started for me, what then it's almost like how, like I've heard you say many times, is that if God showed you the whole picture, you would never do whatever it was that he called you to, because it would just be so overwhelming. You would be so intimidated by the enormity of it. And so that's what happened. This started as, I am going to create a girl super surgeon. I'm going to write a place that I know, and I'm going to do that way of creating these images that are powerful, getting kids connected so much earlier, and to be able to increase representation and create diverse images that empowers all of our kids to know that they can be powerful. And so that's where that started.
That's so good. We're going to stop here and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for more. You were made for more. Yet somewhere along the way, you settled. You slowed down. You allowed others' expectations of you to take the wheel. So let me ask you a question. What would life look like if you took back your destiny and stood unapologetically in your purpose? What would happen if you stopped limiting yourself or holding yourself back from the life you dream of? Well, the answer to this question is why I'm inviting you to join me for my free 3-day online training called Get Paid for What You Know. And you can register and learn more at paidforwhatyouKnow.com. See, it's time for you to stop waiting. It's time for you to take your next big, bold step toward doing the work you were born to do and having a life you never have to escape from, and a routine that propels you into your more. And that's exactly what's going to happen during our 3 days together. See, I'm going to teach you how you can begin that business now alongside your 9-to-5, or to grow more revenue in your current business. I'm going to stretch you and challenge you to venture into new territories so that you can go after your breathtaking future, plus stand powerfully in your fears. You ready? Then go to paidforwhatyouKnow.com and register to join me. I can't wait to pour into you in the 3 days that we'll be together. And Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo was born. Those of you, again, that haven't heard about Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo, you need to go buy a book. Those mommies that are listening out there, or aunties or grandmothers, dare I say, because I'm one of those, go buy a book for your children, because they need to see images of what's possible when you give them an unlimited mindset. And so before you go in, because I know she's going to go in, as you were talking, what was coming in my mind, and I have to share it, because we all have heard the story of David and Goliath since we were little, right? David and Goliath, and how David beat this giant and all this stuff, right? But I heard T.D. Jakes preach on this maybe about a month ago, and he was saying that what we don't consider is that God put that giant in front of David so that he could know what was inside of him. And so what's interesting is I was listening to your story, even as you volunteered, not expecting to write a book out of volunteering, not expecting to start a whole series, let alone the work you're doing now, right? Out of that one volunteer moment. But you said yes to a need, you volunteered, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And so what happens from there is that using this platform, it began to really dig deep and research and really try to peel back the layers of why is it that our children, our girls, our kids of color, all kids were having this limited mindset about what was possible. And it essentially boiled down to, what do you believe?
Yeah.
Right? Before we get to anything is, what do you believe? What do you believe you're capable of? What do you believe is possible? And much of that comes from, do we have this positive mindset? Do we have a state of mind? Do we set our mind in a way that says we can do it? And so in creating and constructing the persona of Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo and the powers of Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo, I understood that the powers of positivity are an integral part of believing what is possible. And powers of positivity, not to the extent that everything becomes viewed through rose-colored glasses and that, the world is always all right, but essentially you develop a set of coping mechanisms, you develop a set of philosophies, you develop a set of ways in which you respond whenever you're confronted with challenges that empowers you, that allows you to harness what you have on the inside, that allows you to reach into the power of who you are and whose you are. Right. And to be able to harness that power and to apply it to whatever circumstances that you live in. And so in creating the opportunities for kids to do that, what also became clearer and clearer to me was that kids don't raise themselves.
Come on.
Parents raise kids.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to actually go even a step further to say that parents are their children's first farmers. Right. They plant those first seeds. Yeah. And I'm going to be broad brush because I understand that, there always there are exceptions, but I am going to even go a step further to say that mothers really and truly are the nurturers of those first seeds. They are the one fertilized, they plant, they do the weeding. Fathers obviously are very important in playing those supportive roles, but in those formative years, mothers are the primary planters and nurturers of those seeds. And so we get kids with unlimited mindsets if we don't have women who, in which their mother, that they are imparting those mindsets, those principles, and those values to their children, which means that they must for themselves be fortified and be steeped in those ways of thinking, because we really and truly, when we really think, it's not so much what we tell our children, or the children or the young minds that we influence, it is what are we showing them. And so, going to your next, it is God has been revealing those things to me step by step. Now, when I created Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo, my vision for her was that she was going to be able to stand on her own, meaning that I wanted to be in the background, I wanted to be behind the scenes, and I really Dynamo to be this character that was front and center, and it was all about Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo. And literally, when I tell you that I have, and it's very difficult to have the best of both worlds, but I thought I had the best of worlds. And really and truly, I don't really think you can ever have the best of both worlds. You have to focus and you have to make a choice. And so I was taking care of patients, operating, filled with just almost indescribable joy about the work that I did with my patients and caring for them. And then this joy of creating this character that I could see how kids relate to her. I could see how educators value her. I could see how parents felt that she filled this niche in the market, not only for Black girls, but for white girls, but for Black boys, but for white boys, that all of the characters and the story created those points and those touch points that all kids relate to in many different ways. And I thought that was enough. And you know how when you try to hide and you have a skunk in your yard or a raccoon, and you get in and you're trying to smoke them out. You smoke them up, right? And God literally smoked me out. That I was in my comfort zone in the office, just kind of hiding, saying Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo was enough. That's all that I wanted to do. And God literally started creating situations in my environment, in my work environment, that was literally smoking me out. He made things so uncomfortable in certain ways that I could no longer just say, you know what, My focus is literally taking care of my patients. This is what I love to do, and that is enough. God continued. The more that I sort of dug my heels in and said, you know what, the busier I got. I mean, like, my career is at its pinnacle to the extent of my reputation, how well respected I am, the amazing work that I do with patients, the volume of that I see. And basically, I was like, God, I mean, this is great. I mean, like, this is enough. And he was like, oh, no.
We're not done. Right.
Done. And the more you dig your heels in and the more comfortable you get, more he started throwing so much stuff at me, girl. He was smoking me out of my lair until I literally had to be obedient and say, you know, God, I hear you. And I understand that the assignments that you have given me are strictly assignments.
Yes.
And that we get to decide when that assignment has come, either to that you've completed the assignment or the assignment needs to be put on pause. God is the only one who decides that.
That's so good. That's so good.
Negotiate with him, navigate through, set conditions. It's like, this is the assignment, and what I require from you is both obedience.
Yep, and he'll keep making it uncomfortable until you say yes to it. Now, listen, you guys see how passionate she is, and she can go for the next 3 hours just talking about this. And because of time, listen, I want to do two things. One, I want you to, and we'll do at the end how they can learn more about Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo and about your 6 habits of positivity, which are for adults and children. We'll send them where they can learn more about that, because that could be a 3 hour, because it's good. Trust me, I've heard it all, right? But can you tell the ladies that are listening that are in that same place, they're successful, but they have this rumbling inside of them, this stink, right? That's telling them it's time for you to do this next thing. What would be 3 things you would tell her that she had to do right now?
Well, I think the first thing is that you really have to sit and connect to your why. And you have to have that conversation with yourself, understanding that as you do this journey, the journey to yourself and this journey to, you're unlimited, that you are literally standing in that place of, is this place of self-love? Is this place of self-acceptance, a place of self-worth, of self-praise, of self-forgiveness, self-help, self-development, and self-determination? So before you can even set off on, my second thing would be literally taking an audit, but it is literally connecting into what is the thing that prevents you from literally taking that step. Coming into your why and taking that journey to yourself, and you're unlimited. And most of the time, I would say for many people, that is fear.
Yeah.
If fear, for me, I think fear of sort of letting go of, I think the thing that I had to let go of was of ego. I had to let go of control. Ego is, many times you find yourself in situations where you're being so affirmed in what you're doing that you don't even actually realize that the more that is out there requires that you come to this place of center in yourself. And so I think that you have to literally let go of all of the other external things that define who you are, and you have to come strictly into that acknowledgement and realization. And so whether that work, that self-work is about, taking stock, writing a list, making a list, and just taking stock of all of the things that you have done in your life. Where are you feeling called to? What are the things that you have done? How does that align with your why? So first, it has to be aligned with your why, and you literally have to pray on it.
Right.
The second thing is, I think you have to take an audit. You have to do an actual audit of, number one, what are your goals? You feel this rumbling deep in your belly. What is that rumbling? What is it that you feel called to do? Because I think many of us know exactly what it is that we're being called to do. So you take audit of what is your goal and what do you already have? What exactly do you have? Products? Do you have an idea? Do you have, a history? Do you have a measure of expertise? What is it that you have that you think prepares you to take that next step? And then what is it that you need? Many of us, kind of jump in, both feet in, taking that faith without really sort of preparing for what it is that next step is going to be.
Right.
And so in that preparation, I think you have to literally be very strategic about understanding what is it that you need and listing those needs. And then the third thing that I think you have to do is then you have to create a plan. you have to say that none of this can really be done, I think, without having the vision. So the vision, I mean, I talk a lot about dreaming big, and much of the journey for me has been about how do I fulfill this big dream. And, I've done a series, and I have this mnemonic about developing the discipline and relationships being, your resource reservoir and, your reservoir of opportunity. So if I had to say that in terms of what do you do in preparation for pursuing this big dream, is really doing the discipline, about doing the work. I mean, you have the dream, you have the big vision, but that has to be followed by the work, which requires the discipline. The R, it's about you're being resourceful. And the big set of our resources are our relationships. So how do we make sure that we are developing relationships that become those reservoirs of opportunities? The E is literally about excellence. And what is excellence? Excellence just literally means surpassing whatever you have done the day before. And so one of my favorite things is the enemy of good is better, because many times we get into this perfectionist mindset where we want it to be perfect. And so we never get off the starting line because we're constantly, looking for perfection. And in actuality, if we just start from that place of good and understand that it is good enough and that you grow with every step, and with every step as you seek to surpass the previous step, it continues to help you to get to your place of excellence. There's excellence in just taking the step. Find someone that you are accountable with and for, and whether that's a coach, whether that's someone in your family, there's someone that holds you accountable for the things that you say you want to do. How do you make sure that you have someone who holds you accountable, and then maintaining that motivation that keeps you going every day, believing that, I can be bold, I can take that first step. Who inspires you? Writing down who inspires you, who has set a roadmap that you can actually identify and say, I want to be like that person. I want to develop the characteristics that person did. How did it get there? So you have to equip yourself with all of the inspirational tools that just gives you that fuel to know that it is possible to do it. And then setting the small goals. Martin Luther King said that, faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase.
Yes.
And so setting the goal and setting small goals, you have the vision, but setting those small goals and then literally trusting God that if He's put it in your heart, that you will be able to take those steps one step at a time. And so that's sort of really my three. It's that, first, take the why. Number two, do the audit. And then number three, set a plan that really aligns with this sort of dream big types of approach. And then make sure that you are kind of reaching each of those targets as you really build your strategic plan around moving your vision forward.
Ooh, so good. You've given us so much. Can you believe that time went by that fast? So tell the ladies that are listening two things. One, where do they find Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo?
So the Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo book series is available through Amazon. It's available through my website, www.drdeedydynamo.com.
Dr. Dee Dee, look, she talks about faster than me saying that. Dr. Dee Dee, it is DEEDEE, right?
DEEDynamo.com. I am also, my next book that is going to be the adult version of what we talked about and discussed. Journey to You equals Journey to Unlimited, through these 5 habits of positivity, and how in building that framework helps you to really connect into that unlimited source. And that will be also available through, you can find it even through the Dr. Oneeka Williams website. So www.droneekawilliams.com.
And we'll put that in the show notes too. So those of you that are listening in, look at the show notes. We'll put Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo and droneekawilliams.com in our show notes. Go ahead. What were you going to say in closing?
Yeah, give you that framework and many times that step-by-step way of how do you really think about approaching this living with your unlimited, every day showing up with that unlimited version of yourself through these habits of positivity that help to frame that abundance mindset that I can do it, not what I can't do, what I have, not what I don't have, and that we're all called with specific purposes in mind. But ultimately, the thing that connects us all is that we're here to care for one another.
Yes.
And that if you're doing anything that comes from this place of I'm caring for someone else, not caring to the point of depletion, but caring from the place of how do you make sure that you are restoring and filling yourself, and in so doing, extending your ability to care for others.
Ooh, yes. Wow. You have given us so much. Thank you, Oneeka. I appreciate you. Thank you for pouring in. Let me tell you something. The way she just talks now is how she talks at dinner. So I'm going to tell you, when I go to dinner with her, I know I need to have a notebook out. I need to have my phone out. I need to be ready to be poured into. So thank you for your commitment to all that are around you, to literally making sure we all live in our very own unlimited. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. It is always a pleasure. And, you inspire me to the hilt as well. So it is just amazing and wonderful for us to be in this sisterhood, because I'm telling you, there's nothing like sister friends to keep hold us accountable, to keep driving us forward, and to keep encouraging us that our unlimited lives on the inside, and that we can release it onto the world and just make a difference one day at a time. Anything, there's not even the sky's the limit. That's the Dr. Dee Dee Dynamo. Right. Not even sky's the limit, so just keep reaching.
Yes, just keep reaching. Thank you, girl. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. Now, I want you to walk away from these sessions with value, so answer either one or all three of these questions. Number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different as a result of what you heard? See, you may have heard something you've already heard, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different as a result of what you heard. Number three, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So I want you to share with us something that showed you that you're on the right path. Now again, share. Share either answer number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different? Or number three, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com and use the hashtag Amplify Your Brilliance. See, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into this community to deepen our journey with being the answer somebody needs and being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and amplify.